Okay, hold on. Okay, Justice, we are all set.
Okay. We'll call to order the Franklin County IDA meeting. Maria, could you go ahead with the roll call?
Sherry Boyer is not here at the moment, but plans on coming, I believe, to Malone. Michael Doran,
Present.
James Ellis should be joining shortly, but is not currently. Steve Ehrman,
Present.
Madeline Fleury,
Present.
Justice Martin,
Present.
and Archie McKee is not here at the moment. Also present are Jeremy Evans, Russ Kenyon, and Maria Bourgeois.
Okay. So we need to entertain a motion to accept the agenda. I know there was one item, Jeremy, you wanted to add. Was that to IDA or LDC?
It's just unfinished or old business for IDA, yes. And that is related to a regional housing study. No action required, just a discussion.
Okay, so can we entertain a motion to accept the agenda with that addition?
I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, public comments? Nothing, so we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 8th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Michael second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills and communications? Nothing?
No, none.
Jeremy,
Maria-
can you just check the waiting room? Sherry just texted that she's trying to join.
All right, I've not seen her yet. Yeah, not yet. I'll keep an eye out though.
All right, well. Is there anything on? There's nothing on bills and communications, right? I think we already
Correct.
covered that. Committee reports, I know we have some for LDC, but do we have any for IDA?
No,
I wasn't sure if concerning the budget, if any remarks should be made, or we can discuss that when we get to it.
we can discuss that when we get to that agenda item.
Great. Treasurer's report.
All right, well, we shared the packet with everyone over the weekend, and that includes our financial report for the Industrial Development Agency. We have total assets of $1.769 million. We have total liabilities of long-term liabilities of $23,000. And if we look at our total income for the year, it's $179,000. And then total expenses are $215,000 to date for this year. That puts us at minus $35,000, almost 36 in for expenses over income for the Industrial Development Agency. But our budget, other than a couple of categories, is on target for all of our different budget categories.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any other questions or discussion on the treasurer's report? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, looks like we have somebody join.
So Maria, Sherry's trying to join. I've pushed admit, so she's trying to get in. And I also admitted Kevin Halpin, if you recall, he's the CFO of Norbit Solar Farms.
Hey, there's Sherry. Welcome, Sherry. Welcome, Kevin.
Looks like Sherry's still trying to connect with her audio.
She said she's having computer issues.
Okay, well, let's go ahead then with the, oh, there she is. Welcome, Sherry.
Sherry, can you hear us now?
Welcome, Aaron, as well.
Okay, and Aaron, could you identify yourself, please, for attendance purposes? Aaron, if you could identify yourself.
Hi, this is Erin Enright from Norbit Solar Farms.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, we're old and unfinished business. We had voted to amend the agenda to add an item to old and unfinished business. Jeremy, could you go ahead with that?
Yes, the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board worked to apply for and receive a grant from the Northern Border Regional Commission. They tried twice to get this grant. They were successful the second time to do a regional workforce housing analysis. And this is a partnership between Franklin, Clinton, and Essex counties, and they asked the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Commission doesn't normally include Franklin County, and I forgot Hamilton County as well, but they don't usually include Franklin County in their kind of geographic area. But with this project, they understood that there was a lot of overlap between all of these counties, that were all interconnected. And so they asked if they wanted Franklin County to be a part of this project. When they originally applied, they asked for different commitments from the different counties to participate as match. And they originally asked, I think, for $10,000 from each county to include as match for the grant. In discussing this with the director of the commission, what I wanted to just run by the group, and I'd love to get just feedback and verbal thoughts about this, and then I would come back with an actual resolution to contribute $7,500 in cash as match for this project, and then $2,500 in kind, which would basically be my time and perhaps some other staff time. So I'm on the committee for the kind of the steering committee for the project, and the funding would be used to contract with a consultant or consultants to do the analysis, basically data gathering, data collection on housing across the 4-county region, and then the commission staff would actually be writing the narrative because they have the skill set, and it would save money. The idea being that we want to focus the expenditure on the actual analysis and data collection, which is always the most difficult. So I wanted to bring that to your attention and just get some feedback on that, and if acceptable, just kind of a verbal okay, so I can report back, and then at some future point I would come back with a resolution because that's an amount that's above what which requires board approval.
I'll make a comment in favor of this. I think it's important. I think it's important to take a look at the costs and availability of housing on a regional basis, because we have so many people now who are traveling to each of our employment centers. It's also, getting a handle on what can be done to increase the amount of affordable housing. It's really important because a lot of eyes right now are shining on the short-term rentals, Airbnb and all of that, and eliminating those in some communities is looked at as a way to increase the availability of housing for workers. I think the argument could be made that in terms of tourism, it's really important to be able to figure out what the sweet spot may be, because you don't want to eliminate what is an important lodging alternative for people who want to come up and visit the area. So as we move forward, you want to make sure we're taking care of year-round workers and also trying to make sure we have availability of housing for tourists. So I'm all in favor. Anything that can increase our understanding of this issue is important.
I just have a question. Why is Franklin County not generally included in these grants, and what makes this one different this year?
Not normally included in the service, the kind of the service area of the Lake Champlain, Lake George Commission, just because we're not bordering Lake Champlain or Lake George.
It's watershed based, I think.
But they understood that as far as a regional economy and housing, that there's really no border, and it really makes sense to include Franklin County in this type of work, that it wouldn't make sense to end it at the edge of Essex or Clinton counties.
You know what kind of contribution the other counties are
I actually
committing?
don't. I'm not sure if everyone's the same, but I think it's generally about the same. But I don't know exactly. It may be a little bit plus or minus, just on the capacity of the county to provide staff time or cash or some combination. But I think it was generally the goal was to try to contribute approximately $10,000 each.
And this is just to support the committee activity?
No, this is to hire the consultant that would do the bulk of the data collection and analysis. So the commission would be, um, they're working on putting together an RFP to go get a consultant to do that analysis. And then the commission staff would then take that data and then write the actual plan with recommendations.
Any other questions? I'd love it if, Jim and Archie could get in on this, but they're not with us. Any other questions or comments? How was it that you got involved with this, Jeremy? Is this new for Franklin County? Is this something that you see this as a positive step? Can you fill us in a little bit more as to what you've been doing with it?
Yeah, there's different topics let's take workforce and housing are two good examples where we're not directly involved with housing related programs unless it's tied to a Main Street grant. There's a lot of active work that we don't get involved in with workforce, but we understand how important those types of issues are to the overall quality of life and Franklin County economy. And so we've been purposefully becoming more involved in these types of issues in a supportive role, even if we're not always directly involved. And so Russ has been pretty involved with in a lot of supporting ways with workforce related issues. He's on several boards and committees in the county and in the region when it comes to workforce. And I've been increasingly involved with different housing related matters for a variety of reasons. And in this case, the commission reached out directly to the IDAs in these 4 counties, plus the Essex County Housing Assistance Program, which is a nonprofit in Essex County that manages a lot of different housing programs for Essex County. So this one really does involve the IDAs for the 4 counties. And I think it's actually quite refreshing that there's so much interest and acknowledgement that the economic development organizations across our region have a role to play and an interest in housing, more so than in the past at least. Because if we can't house people, that's a tremendous drain on quality of life. It makes it harder to find employees and thereby, by definition, makes it harder for us to achieve our mission.
Right. And this, what the counties contribute, the state will match in the grant, is that?
Correct, right, exactly. So there's a certain amount of cash required to hire the consultant. And I don't remember the percentage, but there'll be a local cash match coming from the commission and the counties, and that will be matched by the Northern Border Regional Commission grant, which is actually a federal agency. So this is federal money that will be matched by the local communities.
Okay. Michael, Sherry, do you have any thoughts, questions?
I have nothing at this time.
Same for me. I understand, I think the premise and what's to be achieved.
Great.
Do you need
Okay.
any,
No, that works for me. I just wanted to kind of bring it to everyone's attention and get first thoughts. So thank you.
Very good. Okay, so let's move on to new business. We have resolution 2021-23, the Bangor Solar Project. Let's have a first and a second to bring that to the table.
I'll make a motion, bring the resolution to the table.
I'll second.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeremy. Update
Okay,
us on the.
so this is Bangor Solar LLC. This is a project being managed by Nexamp, one of the projects we've been looking at with them. And this is, if you recall, this is the authorizing resolution. A few months ago, the IDA board approved an initial resolution. And after that, that then allowed myself and Justin Miller to be negotiating with the company and also to schedule a public hearing. We held a public hearing in the town of Bangor a couple weeks ago on September 20th. We did not have anyone in attendance, even though we did notify all of the taxing jurisdictions and noticed it in the paper and on our website. So the authorizing resolution allows basically is the approving resolution for this project to receive a sales tax exemption, mortgage tax. I don't think there's a mortgage tax in this one, and a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, as set forth in the cost benefit summary that is included in your packet, and which would be made part of the agreement and the resolution. So if you recall, it's a 15-year pilot, and it's based on a $5,500 charge per megawatt per year, and it also comes with a 2% escalator. And it's I think I mentioned it's a 5 megawatt facility off of Route 11B in the town of Bangor.
Any thoughts or questions? Have they already started on this project?
I don't know the answer to that. It's possible they're doing site work or whatever. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So did you say at the meeting there wasn't any representation from the taxing jurisdictions?
Correct.
And
Right.
so does that mean they approve or not approve, or is just no response?
It means no response, right? So
Yeah.
this is a project. The way the benefits have been negotiated fall within our uniform tax exemption policy, which means that the IDA board can act unilaterally without taxing jurisdiction approval. Doesn't mean we're not interested and would like taxing jurisdiction approval, but we just didn't receive it one way or any feedback one way or the other. I think if there was a lot of dissatisfaction with it, we would have heard, because all of the taxing jurisdictions received the cost benefit, the proposed benefits, and all of that. And I reached out to all of them to make sure they understood and what it looked like, and we didn't receive any comments.
And it should be noted that on the 13th of October, the town of Bangor Town Board did approve the project in terms of the site plan, the special use permit. So, that's,
Last year.
Right, I think it was a year ago.
what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. October 13th, 2020.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And that was unanimous.
Exactly a year ago. Okay, well, we have a first and a second. Maria, could you do the roll call on this resolution?
First, so this is for resolution 2021-23 for Bangor Solar LLC, the authorizing resolution. Sherry Boye,
Yes.
Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent. Stephen Erman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes, I approve.
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent. Resolution is adopted.
Very good. So let's move on to resolution 2021-24, the Salmon River Renewables. We have a first and a second to bring that to the table.
I'll make a motion. We bring that resolution to the table.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, so everything I just said related to Bangor Solar relates to this project as well. It's in a different section, a little down the road on Route 11B. It's slightly smaller at 3.4 megawatts, but it's the same terms and conditions for this project.
Okay. Any thoughts or questions? Okay, go ahead, Maria.
Okay, this will be for resolution 2021-24. Salmon River Renewables LLC authorizing resolution. Sherry Boye, Sherry Boye. Yes, okay. Michael Doran,
Yes.
Jim Ellis is absent. Stephen Erman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes, I approve.
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is also absent. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to resolution 2021-25. Concerning the 2022 budget. Jeremy, you want to start out with this and then maybe someone from the audit and finance committee can speak up as well.
Sure. So, as you know, our budgets are due to be submitted to the state by the end of this month, 60 days out from the beginning of our fiscal year, which was why we approved these budgets in October. I've been working on these for a few weeks, and as always, I appreciate the help staff provides to put this together. And this year, we've had the added benefit of bringing this to the Audit and Finance Committee. It was yesterday, so we had a great little discussion about the budget yesterday, and one of the questions that was brought up, it was from Archie, and it was a great question, led to a very good discussion, was when you look at the IDA budget, as far as it always seems to be that we're operating at the end of the year, we're spending more than we bring in. And that is how the IDA almost always operates, because of the cycle of projects that we have that contribute to the IDA's cash balance. So the biggest example that we've had is the Jericho Rise Wind Tower project, which provided think approximately $1.2 million in fees over the course, a total of 5 years. And we can't always anticipate when projects are going to come to us, get approved, and then close and then those fees come to us. And so normally we do run a deficit based on what we receive in any calendar year for revenue compared to our expenses. But as you can see from our financials for the month, we do have a comfortable cash balance with the IDA, and that helps us to know that we're in good shape financially. So, but one of the things that came out of the discussion, which was a philosophical discussion, was to add some projected revenues in to the best of our ability. So we do have a number of different projects in our review pipeline right now. We don't always have that. For the first 3 years that I worked here, we did not have any at this time of year, which we're even anticipating. And so I took a look at all those last night, and every single one of them has different challenges that they're working through, and we don't know if all of them will actually move forward or not. So what I did was I did add in as revenue one project basically that I think is in closer to becoming reality. And so that from the version of this budget that I sent last week to the one I sent yesterday, you'll see that under charges for services, it's increased to $85,000 in anticipation that in calendar year 2022, we should be receiving some revenue from one or more IDA incentive projects. So that's the only change I made. And I think it was a good discussion to have. And there was a general consensus amongst the Audit and Finance Committee that it would be appropriate to add some projected revenue that we thought was fairly certain of happening. And so I made that change. I liked that approach that they had suggested. Still went with a conservative number, but we did make that change, and that's what's in front of you today. I don't know if Sherry or Mike want to add anything from that conversation.
I guess I'll jump in and you can hear me over here.
Yep.
Cool. I had to switch headphones midway through the meeting today. So yeah, I think it was a great conversation. And Jeremy, thanks for the quick turnaround and making those changes. And one thing I've come to expect from Jeremy is, definitely he makes changes, and it's usually 10:30 at night when he sends the email out. So appreciate that though. But the conversation was good, and it really had to do, with anticipating, what our real business looks like, so that we really have an understanding of, what's in the pipeline, what's coming down the pipeline, and, how to kind of just make that known and make that part of the equation. It's a budget, so things do change over the course of the year, but having the explanation that goes with, why things change is just as important as the actual change. So I thought it was a good conversation, and I like that we've made this step.
And with Mike's comments, it was a good discussion.
Anything else from the Audit and Finance Committee concerning the 2022 budget? Or any thoughts or questions from the board?
I just have a comment on it. And I mean, I'm sure this was all discussed in the Audit and Finance Committee. But when you look at, you do see the deficiency there in the, income over expenditures. And it seems to be a huge number. And I know that you said that there is, you got the cash in the bank. But at some point, if you're always running at that level of negative balance, you're not gonna balance out eventually, right? Eventually, you're gonna have nothing there to work with unless for sure you have things coming down the pipeline that are gonna really build up those finances. So, I mean, do you take any, I'm sure you do, I don't mean it in a negative way, but do you look out like 10 years or whatever and try and figure out whether you're going to go negative totally and not have any money in the pipeline, or?
Yeah, it's a
Does it make
very good question. Yeah. And I would presume, I have to think that for the board members have been around longer, especially Sherry and Justice. I know that this is something that I worry about like every day. And fortunately, a couple of things have happened. Usually, for the IDA, two things, I think there's two things that have happened with the IDA that have put us in a better position than I would have thought we would have been in. One is that we have had projects that we did not anticipate that came through. And then the second that added to our bottom line. And the second is that we've consistently been at or below our budget for expenditures. So what we budget is one thing, what we actually expend in several years has been less. I actually took Mike's advice and was looking at our year-end financials for 2020 last night, and we came in right at, within, I think, $1,000 of what we budgeted. So I think it was right around 377 or something last year. And I think some previous years we spent less. So we do need to be thinking about it and thinking about it more and being able to plan ahead. And so it's a great question. And a lot of some of the work we're doing with Paul Ellis is putting us in a better position to give us more data and information as far as our finances than what we've had in the past. And part of that is for that purpose, so that we can all do some better forecasting and planning. And there's more we can talk about with LDC in this regard too, because it's the same question over there. So I feel comfortable with where we're at, but only a little bit comfortable. And that's based on our previous experience of being able to just, I had projected 3 years ago, I'd projected we'd be in a much more lean position today. But a couple of things have gone our way. And let's hope that continues. But it doesn't mean we go be just below the budget either. I think the reason, one of the reasons we're in this position is that we're not acting as if we need to be in austerity, but we're not going crazy spending money just because either. So thanks for bringing that up, Madeline. I look forward to more conversations like we had yesterday with the Audit and Finance and the board at large on this topic, because we do need to think philosophically about our future and like when do you get to, how and when do you get to cash, net zero or positive cash flow with our organizations to the extent possible.
You think, what do you think, Jeremy, would be our, or anybody, some like steps or something we could put on our, either onto a committee or onto the board as far as steps that could be taken in the coming months or through the next year to, dig deeper with that and come up with a plan? Do you have any?
Well, we should separate it between the IDA and the LDC. But, and I'm open to suggestions, but two things come to mind for the IDA. And the first is that we need to do everything we can to help the projects that we're aware of and that we're working on come to fruition. Because obviously, if a project happens, then that helps, that helps us and it helps the county. So more effort on our part as much as possible to support projects in the pipeline is good. And then the other is getting the word out about our incentives and what we can do. I heard from a business owner last night who reached out, who does manufacturing in Franklin County. And he was talking about the addition that he wants to put on his building. And so, just lose everybody? Does everybody still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody else
Yes.
is on audio only, so that's okay. Just want to make sure everyone's still there. So that owner, I have talked to him at length about what we might be able to do to assist him with his addition and bring costs down. And a year later, he's telling me that he's ready to move ahead, and he like I need to remind him. So if he's someone who has already heard the pitch or from me and has forgotten, how many other businesses or property owners may have projects out there that could be benefited from IDA programs and who have no idea about that? So I think that marketing piece and getting out and about and making sure we're doing a better job with the folks in the businesses in the county know what we have to offer is important as well. So those are two thoughts, but I'm of course love to talk more about it with the group.
This is a question that relates to Madeline's, I guess. I think we're all optimistic that things are going to get better, we'll control our costs, and we're going to have increased revenue. But based on the reserves that we currently have, and looking at the combined deficit for the IDA as well as the LDC together, if nothing changed, how many years can we go out basically before we're at a point where we exhaust our resources?
For the IDA, 2.
2 years out? And then with the LDC though, it's more.
Oh, LDC is a lot.
LDC is deeper.
Deeper, yeah.
And we have the capability to transfer. Do we have the capability to transfer from one organization to the other?
You can
To support.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good, thanks.
Which we do.
Which I remember in the past we've done.
Yeah.
And we've gotten good reviews from the auditors, and they've taken a look at
Oh yeah,
this in the past, so,
it's fun. Yep.
okay. Thanks.
Yeah, well, it's very good discussion, and it's, it's reason why we need to, figure out a plan. moving forward. Any other questions or discussion on the budget? I assume that the budget got an approval from the Audit and Finance Committee.
We didn't actually do like a motion or recommendation for approval. We had a short meeting and we certainly didn't go into everything in depth.
Okay. Right, well, we have a first and a second. Maria, can you do the roll call?
Sure,
Did
this
I
will
don't think
be,
we didn't do a first and second yet.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
oh, no, good one.
Thank you. Okay. Motion to bring it to the table.
Make a motion, bring the budget resolution to the table.
I'll,
Sure.
All right, so we have first, second.
Sherry, second?
Yep.
Okay, so this is for resolution 2021-25, adopting the 2022 budget. Jerry Boye,
yes,
Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent, Stephen Erman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes.
Justice Martin,
Yes,
Archie McKee is absent. The resolution is adopted.
okay, good. So the date of next meeting is November 10th, 2021. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Steve moves.
I'll second, Jerry.
Okay,
Whatever.
all right, very good. Meeting's adjourned. We will move into Franklin County LDC meeting. Roll call is the same. 4.
I will note that Kevin Halpin just left from Norbut.
So we'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Steve moves.
I'll second, Sherry.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So any public comments? No? We'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 8th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Michael second.
Mike second? Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, bills and communications, anything?
Nope.
All right. How about committee reports?
We did have a number of committees meet in the last couple of weeks, and that would include audit and finance, which we already discussed, but governance committee met, and so did loan committee. And, you know, there's activity within each that are in there's resolutions that each committee was reviewing. So I don't know if there's anything additional any of the committee chairs want to share, or just focus on the resolutions. we'll take that as we focus on the resolutions.
Yep. Yeah, very good. So let's take a look at the treasurer's report.
Okay, so the treasurer's report for LDC, we have total assets of $3.182 million. We had for this, as of September 30th, we have total liabilities of $179,000. And you can see, I'll skip to our budget, profit and loss, budget versus actual, which is the last report that we always include. And we're doing pretty good in the LDC budget also. We've had some costs and some income that were unusual and unexpected, but overall I think we're doing pretty good. And it's all, you know, the LDC is certainly in a state of flux compared to where we thought it was 1 year ago in October. And it's all good, right? We've got a lot going on, a lot of good things happening. So that's the only message I would share related to the financial report. And I believe everyone received the loan report over the weekend or on Friday from Russ.
If we want to talk about specific projects listed in the loan report, is that something we do in executive session?
Yeah, if you have specific questions, it should be done in an executive session to protect that privacy. And we do have one item, hopefully for executive session. So would you like to add that to it?
Sure.
Okay,
I just have a
good.
very quick question, that's all.
Okay. All right. So we'll, just if that's okay, we'll add that to executive session.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, any other thoughts or questions concerning the treasurer's report? So we have a first and a second.
I'll move to accept.
Michael, second.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, so that takes us to new business, resolution 2021-27, the Happy Camping RV loan. Let's do a first and a second to bring that to the table.
I'll make a motion to bring the resolution 2021-27 to the table.
Steve will second. I'm sure he's off.
Okay. So we have first and a second. Go ahead, Jeremy or Russ, I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Russ.
Okay, this resolution is to consider approval of a loan to Happy Camping RV. Happy Camping is in Vermontville. They sell RVs. They're an exclusive dealer, I believe, for Lance RVs, and they also perform service work around the region, which is an asset to the county and our tourism efforts, I believe, as well. This would allow one of the current employees to purchase the business from retiring business owners, which would help support business transitions in Franklin County, which is one of our goals and priorities. It would also enable them to construct a large outbuilding pole barn for service work going forward to be basically a full service all season RV repair business. That would expand their business considerably and also provide that service more extensively in the region. They're looking for a total of it would be 2 disbursements, but I believe it's a total of $260,000 from the LDC. The first disbursement would be for the purchase of the business and a deposit for the construction. And then the second disbursement would be for the remainder of the construction cost. The loan committee recommends approval of the loan with these conditions going forward, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
So it would be that amount plus the closing costs. Do we know what?
Yeah, we're not exactly sure what the final closing costs will be, so it might be a little bit less than that, but any excess would go towards working capital to help them get started. And it will be secured by a mortgage. And we did have an appraisal done of both an as-is appraisal of the current value plus an appraisal of the future value with the construction of the building. And there does appear to be sufficient collateral for our loan.
So it's land and buildings, Russ, is a collateral basically, right?
Correct. So there are existing buildings on the property. There's basically a residential home that they use as an office. And then this would be an additional building on the property. It does appraise pretty well. Plus they have really good cash flow. So they'll be able to support the payments well with their current cash flow.
I've got a question. It may go deeper. It may have been already taken up by the loan committee, but I know they had a very good year because of COVID. Inventory was sold out and all. In the years prior, did that also show positive? I don't know if this is something we talk about in public or if we.
Yeah, if we want to get into details of their business, I'd want to do that in executive session, but
you're satisfied.
the financial analysis is positive. I'll say that, Steve.
You're satisfied looking at the performance, obviously, that this is a good risk for the IDA or for the LDC.
Yes, I would recommend approval.
Okay, that's enough for me. Thank you.
Good question. Good. Okay, well, we have a first and a second. Could you do the roll call, Maria?
Yep. This is for resolution 2021-27, Happy Camping RV loan. Sherry Boye,
Yes.
Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent, Stephen Ehrman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes.
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent. Resolution is adopted.
Okay, good work. Good job, Russ. Thank you, everybody. Let's go on to resolution 2021-28 concerning a name change. So a first and a second to bring this to the table.
Steve will move.
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, so this is a pretty simple resolution. It simply would authorize us to change the name, officially change the name of the Franklin County Local Development Corporation to the Franklin County Economic Development Corporation. This desire recommendation comes out of our branding process in 2020, and we've been using the name Franklin County Economic Development Corp a lot since then, and we just want to make it official as the name of the LDC. We cannot change the name of the IDA. It's set by state statute. There's no, and then maybe we could change it, but there's no benefit to doing so. But we can change the name of the LDC because it's a 501c3 nonprofit, and we can name it whatever we want. And so what this would allow us to do is to use that name officially as our umbrella name, which which we all, as from a staff's perspective and from our branding exercise, believe will make it a lot easier for us to market and describe who we really are to folks. It is certainly a mouthful and confusing to try to explain to the average person what the IDA is, LDC is, and CDC is, and how they should care about one or the other. And especially with the IDA, folks just don't associate Franklin County with industrial development. And because we just don't have a lot of the typical industry that is found elsewhere. So it really just has kind of an antiquated and it doesn't match what people's expectations are. And it doesn't fully describe all of the many different things that we are doing today that we were not doing 4 years ago. And so this is a great opportunity for us to simplify things, to be able to better describe and market who we are and what we do to people. It doesn't mean the IDA or the CDC are going away. They still will be there as their own entities. It simply means that we're going to start describing ourselves as a full service economic development organization. And we happen to have these different tools available to us, like civic development bonds, like tax incentives through the IDA. And that's, I think, a much more elegant and modern way for us to describe and market ourselves going forward. And this is just this is a way to make that kind of official for the LDC. This was discussed by the governance committee, so I don't know if Jim's not here, but we have Madeline and Steve. If you have any other thoughts to contribute, I could go on all day about this. I'm really excited about it, but I'll just think I've said what I wanted to make sure I was able to share.
Madeline, do you want to speak to that?
No, I'll just say I'm still trying to figure it all out myself. So if one less thing to have to worry about is good for me.
Okay. The comment I have is this, I think this reflects where Jim is coming from, Jim Ellis. You know, the idea of creating an umbrella makes a lot of sense because the IDA, the CDC, and the LDC are really tools to do economic development. And, you know, we've seen more action, frankly, on the LDC side. But when we describe what are we members of, we usually say, oh, I'm on the IDA. The IDA is a vehicle. It's an organization, but it's a vehicle for financing in a way. And having a toolbox that involves multiple organizations, it seems like we have to have an easily understood cover for all of that. And I think calling ourselves the Economic Development Corporation for the county is logical, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And there was a practical concern that came up when we talked in the governance committee, because if someone makes a check out to the Franklin County local, if they make a check out to the Economic Development Corporation, right? We can't at present process that. You know, we have to have them recut the check to make it out to the local development corporation or the IDA or whatever the case is. But in the public mind, you know, if they think of us as the organization, as the Economic Development Corp, they're likely to do all their business through that. And the way we're legally established right now, you know, we have to go back to our clients basically and do something which looks a little bit clunky organizationally. So this seems to be a logical thing to do, and I'm all for it.
So referring to this as the umbrella term, will we still be using LDC or this is replacing LDC and becoming the umbrella for the agency? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, you got it right. The LDC, this name is the umbrella. It's what we refer to ourselves as. We don't need to be any more descriptive. But it also, we don't need to refer to the LDC anymore. We have tools within the LDC, like our loan program.
But those organizations continue, and when we have our monthly meetings, we're still having a monthly meeting of the IDA and a monthly meeting of the LDC. The transmittal of all the materials may be done under the banner of the Economic Development Corporation, but the agendas are still for those specific legal entities, which don't go away.
This, with the LDC, the entity does, the entity doesn't go away, but its name does change.
Oh, the name for the LDC would change.
It changes, but yeah, the entity is not going away, and we don't need to create another entity to be the umbrella
Okay,
of the three. We just.
so
just
we're
use the
gonna
LDC.
raise up the LDC
Right,
in
which
essence
has
as the umbrella, and the IDA will be the financing tool for the
Right,
EDC.
and this has
Okay,
been,
sorry for the confusion.
this has been a transition we've been kind of underway for a couple of years now, where the LDC is kind of becoming the chief entity.
Okay, so going back and correcting myself then, when we have our monthly meeting, we'll have a meeting of the IDA, and we're gonna have a meeting of the Economic Development Corporation,
Correct.
and we'll have a meeting when needed of the
The CDC.
CDC.
Correct.
So,
All of which are under in essence, under the umbrella of the Economic Development Corp.
Right.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
so I had someone walk in, so I apologize. That part of it, and this may have been asked, but coming from a banking world and working with business people. So you say LDC isn't going away, we can't change the name, correct?
IDA,
IDA, yeah,
So LDC, we can change the name,
correct,
and that's what we're doing.
correct.
Okay. I didn't know if we were leaving it Franklin County IDA doing business as Economic Development Corp, because I know a lot of entities do that.
Right, we cannot do the DBA route. This is what we were hoping, but we can't. That was something that Matt McCardle investigated. So this is how we deal with it. Or this is a way to deal.
Hard time opening emails, so I decided not to try to open the attachments and be on Zoom because it seems to shut down everything. Oh, for some unknown reason, very challenging. But so with that said, I can't see the document. So we are voting on changing from Franklin County IDA or LDC to Franklin Economic Development Corp.
Exactly. Yeah, and you didn't. I mean, that you almost read the whole resolution verbatim, so you got it.
and
There's really nothing to
I
it.
apologize for the confusion that I put out, and if I was sitting closer to Jeremy, he would have kicked me under the table probably, but he couldn't.
So if someone sends us, if the change goes through and someone sends us a check written out to LDC, will we still be able to deposit that?
That's a good question. Based on what Matt was, we didn't bring that one we didn't talk about. Based on what Matt said, I'm guessing that for a while we will be able to, because
We could do it.
it's not changing.
Jeremy, could we keep a DBA for the local development corporation? Can we have that or not?
No, you can't have corporation.
Oh, and a D, that's right, sorry.
So, this doesn't come without work and
So-
transition, that's for sure.
So you'll open a new bank account under Franklin County Economic Development Corp. And how long do you leave open? Because some entities will leave it at the end of the year. Some get a stamp, also known as AKA, or a deposit stamp. You could kind of do that. Transition. So just on that, because obviously that's more work.
Sherry, can we just keep the keep our checking account and change our name of it. I didn't want to, I was hoping we didn't have to create a new checking account. Just want to change.
Matt, transferring the EIN to the new entity name?
Yeah.
He is? Yeah, then we would just need that supporting document to show that, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's all that stuff we got to figure out, but, you know,
It's,
we'll just work on it.
it's great to have a banker on our board.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
All right.
Sometimes, I like a headache, but you know.
I think if I recall what Matt was saying, for-profit corporations can work under a DBA.
Well, we can too, but you can't have the
But-
word corporation as a DBA name
Okay,
in the name of your
okay,
DBA
okay.
or corp or agency or anything like that.
Okay. But I know he made a distinction, and he said the way
Yeah.
we're set up, we cannot do it at DBA, remember that?
And the idea can't because it's
Right,
not a,
and that's
it's a
by
different,
statute.
different beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So, first to the second, any other thoughts or questions? Maria, can you go ahead with the roll call?
Okay, so this is for resolution 2021-38, name change. Sherry Boye,
Yes,
Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent, Stephen Erman,
Yes,
Madeline Fleury,
Yes,
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent, resolution is adopted.
Okay, very good. So let's move on to resolution 2021-29. Do we have a first and a second to bring this to the table concerning adopting a bridge loan policy?
I'll make a motion, we bring the bridge loan.
I'll second.
Okay, very good. Jeremy, Russ, I'm not sure who's,
Well, I can just get started. This and then let Russ take it. But we've been talking about being able to do something like this for a while. This is a policy that would allow us to provide basically short-term gap financing to organizations that receive grants, but who don't have the financial wherewithal to complete a project and then wait for some amount of time to get the grant reimbursed to them. So I think the best way to look at this is in the world of construction financing, where you're or like remember our loan with OWD in Tupper Lake. That's basically a short-term bridge loan until they get their full financing for the project. So that allows them to do some things, but they're waiting on some full-term financing. We've come across a lot of organizations and businesses in our Main Street grants and in other circumstances where they have a project, they receive grant funds in order to help with that project, but these grant funds are all reimbursement based, and some of these businesses don't have the means or capital to do the entire project and then wait. So that we would be providing a bridge for them to do it, and it's a need that I've seen. I think prior to my time with the IDA, and I just really appreciate Russ's efforts over the last few months to actually put together a policy and guidelines so that we can do it in an organized fashion with the right oversight. There's nothing that prohibited us from doing that in the past, but having a real program and guidelines is the proper way to do it. And appreciate all his efforts to put it together. And Russ, I don't know if there's anything specific that we want to talk about with the guidelines, or if you have any specific questions, refer them to Russ, because he's the one that's been really getting deep into it to make sure we have something good in place.
Yeah, as far as the details of the program, it would be structured, similarly to some extent with our revolving loan program. But again, it would be secured after they can show valid proof of a grant contract that's in place, that we will understand what their eligible expenses are. We'll be able to see their project plan and how they're clearly planning to execute that project, that we are comfortable with their ability and their capacity to complete the project under those guidelines. So it would operate sort of like a forgivable loan, where their grant would repay us upon completion of their project. There's a lot of options we can look at this with. It could be interest only. It could be interest with a balloon. I mean, there's a lot of options for flexibility that we can consider, but essentially, as Jeremy said, our goal is to enable these grant projects to be feasible by providing that capital upfront to carry them through reimbursement by the grant.
Russ, would we anticipate, say we go out for a round for any one of our grant programs, and would we anticipate an applicant saying at the time they make application for the grant that they would also want to have us consider a bridge loan? Or can they do that after the grant is approved and then they realize they're a little stretched on their resources and could come in at that point in time? Is that?
It could be both ways, Steve. I mean, we've been asked recently to provide a letter stating that we would be willing to participate as a lender on a project, on a grant funded project, to show their readiness that they have financing or financial capacity in place. So it might be something that we review like through the application process and say, well, we feel comfortable with this project. It looks like something that we would provide financing for, the gap financing for, through this program. So it could be part of an application proposal for a larger project, or it could be something that they come to us after they've secured the grant and are looking for options to execute it.
Okay, good, thank you.
Is it something you'd want to advertise when people are like applying for a grant, or?
Yeah, we would definitely get the word out. We have a lot of community development partners in
Yeah.
the region that we work with regularly, so we would make sure they're all aware of it. But we would certainly get the word out through our channels. So.
Good.
This is another tool for the toolbox.
Good.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Got a first and a second, so go ahead with the roll call, Maria.
Okay, this is for resolution 2021-29, adopting a bridge loan policy. Sherry Boye, who may or may not be able to answer because she just texted. Yes, okay. Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent. Stephen Ehrman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes.
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent. The resolution is adopted.
Good.
Good. Takes us to resolution 2021-30. Concerning an extension to the agreement with Paul Ellis Consulting. We have a first and a second to bring this to the table.
I'd make a motion to bring resolution to the table.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeremy.
For reasons, for just from our perspective, just the work that we had going on, I couldn't focus as much as I wanted to. And Paul Ellis had his own some personal and family matters he was attending to when we first started this contract. And so we didn't actually get working as quickly as we wanted to, but now we're in the middle of it. And it's been great to have him on board doing some things for us and getting advice but the agreement was ended on September 30th. And so this resolution simply extends it to December 31st. Nothing else changes. We wouldn't, the amount of the contract doesn't change. It's simply when it ends.
Good.
So the 9,500 from, was May to September is just getting extended from May to December,
Right.
okay? It's a pretty, simple explanation. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, go ahead, Maria, with the roll call.
Okay, this is for resolution 2021-30, extending the agreement with Paul Ellis Consulting. Sherry, although is unable to respond, can hear us and is indicating yes. Sherry Boye. Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent. Stephen Ehrman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes.
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent. Resolution is adopted.
Okay. Takes us to resolution 2021-31, the 2022 budget for the LDC. Do we have a first and a second to bring that to the table?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay. Jeremy, go ahead.
The LDC budget is certainly something that has become more and more involved over the last couple of years. And although it takes a lot of work and it's kind of a mind bender, I am happy to be engaged in it because of all the exciting work that we have been taking on as an organization. The budget that I shared with you last week has been modified in one way, and that is to account for a little bit more proposed loan interest. And this comes out of that same discussion we had with the Audit and Finance Committee meeting. I think we could safely and conservatively add a little bit more loan interest compared to what we had last week. And so I made that change. I reviewed everything else and felt comfortable with where it is. This does include salaries, benefits on the expense side, and income for our proposed new hires that we're all working on, and tries to anticipate occupancy tax payments from the county. What we ultimately are budgeting for occupancy tax is the same as what the county has budgeted. And it's all of our collective best guesses. You'll notice, I'll note a couple of things that the tourism is now such a big part of this. It's probably worth just a quick mention of where you can see this. So occupancy tax would come under charges for service. So when the county pays us, that comes under charges for service, along with some other grants and things that are coming our way. And then you'll see the expenses largely comes under salaries and benefits, and then professional service contracts, and then supplies and materials. So if you look at on top of page, if you have in front of you, just as an example, top of page 2 of the summary document says marketing promotion code 5134, and it has $231,000. And so that's the proposed expenditures for all sorts of tourism related things, hiring marketing firms, videographers, writers, website editors, any professional service contract that we have related to tourism. Then we've got a little bit down under supplies and materials, you can see marketing promotion, $78,000. That's for actual kind of those supply and material expenditures, whether it's posters or collateral or anything like that related to tourism. And then you'll also see under at the bottom of page 2, under grants and donations, 5250. There's a big number there, $1.8 million, but within that, this is grant money that we've received that we hope to grant out to businesses, but included in there are the tourism grants that we've got, the destination development program, the cooperative marketing program, and the event sponsorship program. So a lot of what we're doing, as you probably noticed, is finding these, getting funding from whatever source we can, and then giving it back out to our businesses. And that's a really exciting path that we're going down. With the EDC, I'm not going to say LDC anymore. So I could go on all day, but you know, this is my best guess as far as the budget for 2022. I do want to acknowledge the staff for helping, because this has been largely an effort that me and Maria take on every year, and this year I've been able to bring the rest of the staff in on different elements to get them involved and get their input. And I've really enjoyed that and hope to build on what we did this year into next year.
Good. Anyone from the audit or finance committee want to comment? Okay. Any other thoughts or questions from the board? Okay, go ahead, Maria, with the roll call.
Okay, this is resolution 2021-31, adopting the 2022 budget. Sherry Boye has indicated yes. Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent. Stephen Ehrman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes.
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent. Resolution is adopted.
Okay, very good. All right, we have another resolution, 2021-32, concerning establishing an agreement with Flatley Reed LLC. We have a first and a second to bring resolution 2021-32 to the table.
I'll make a motion to bring the resolution to the table.
Michael, second.
Right.
Okay.
Jeremy.
This Flatley Reed currently does work for us for our Main Street revitalization grants. They do environmental reviews and testing. They can do lead-based paint testing. They can do asbestos. They also can do all sorts of consulting in the environmental field, and they're very good at it, and they've been doing work for us. So we certainly we have existing contracts with them. In my discussions with them, with their help with a couple different things, couple different of our programs right now, I began to be aware that they do a lot more than what we've been having them do. and which includes overall grant administration and project management related to these exact types of programs that we are running. And with our everything that we have going on, our changes in staffing, I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring them in and really help us kind of get caught up and keep moving these programs forward. In a couple of our grant programs, we need to catch up. We have projects that need to get moving. They've been delayed for a variety of reasons. Pandemic is the biggest. But this would allow us as staff to spend less time day to day on the nitty gritty of administering these programs, and put our efforts into what are the next projects and initiatives that we need to take advantage, that we need to go get. We do receive project management and administration fees, not fees, but reimbursement from many of our programs. And so this is how we would pay for this. This is not something that would come out of from the bottom line of our checking account. It would all be reimbursable. And so, Mike, I don't know if I missed anything. We did have a brief discussion about this at our downtown revitalization committee last week. I think it was last week. I don't know what week it was.
Everything's blending, right? Yeah, absolutely. I think that the bottom line or the bullet points really just say that, hey, you know what, managing these already in progress applications to full execution should free up our staff to do more things, which goes back to the budget conversation that we had, and filling that pipeline with more projects, more things that are going to end up paying us back in the end, and still giving us the freedom to do even more good things. So I think that was what we kind of came down to at the end of our discussion.
And I would mention that we had hired, if you recall, we had hired Kate Wild to help with some of this work also, and she's been doing some good stuff and really been nice to have on board helping. And we have some other things that we'd like her to work on that is more actually with kind of the marketing side of things that she's actually a lot more adept at. And she simply doesn't have it's not the interest or ability, but just the volume of work that we have is something that Flatley Reed can handle. And so what we'll see is Kate spending less time on this stuff and more time transitioning into some other marketing things under the contract we have with her. So just to make sure you understand the differences, she has been helping, but Flatley Reed will come in and do a lot more of it going forward.
So what is the current contract that we have with Flatley Reed? Is this just an extension of the timeline, or is it?
This would be a whole different contract, because the ones that we have are very specific to individual programs. Like we have one for the New York Main Street program for Saranac Lake and Tupper Lake. We have one for the Energized Downtown in Saranac Lake. So we have 2 contracts with them, and those would remain untouched because they're specific to those programs as far as the scope, and they're specific as far as the fees that they charge us, and they're locked. So neither party we don't want to mess with those. This would be a separate contract.
And just to elaborate on Madeline's question, is this contract, because again, I can't pull it up, have a specific dollar amount set or only as needed? And where are the funds coming from that we're reimbursing them? Is it from the grant, the percentage we get, we're paying them?
Yes. So to To that question, yeah, so we would get reimbursed from the grant for the fees that they charge. And the way we've set this one up is that, because we don't know exactly what the needs are for each one as far as calculating the number of hours. So what we've come up with is where they gave us hourly rates for their work based on the type of staffs involved, and that it's reasonable. And then a not to exceed amount per month, so that they can't just run up, not that they would, but they can't run up the bill indefinitely for any given month, just so we have a check there. And then I would also propose, and that's what's in the resolution, to add that there's an end date of the end of 2022. So we can then reevaluate where we're at. Some of these should be cleaned up and finished by then. And that the total amount, regardless of the monthly fees, the monthly not to exceeds, the total amount would not exceed $60,000. And that's an amount that is totally reasonable for us to be able to reimburse based on the administrative costs identified in our grants. So I feel very comfortable that, and I don't know, maybe if we got to at some point and we felt everything was going well and it for whatever reason wasn't enough, we reevaluate it. But I'm pretty comfortable with, I'd rather, to your point, Sherry, that's what I'd rather have some not to exceeds in our contract with them.
And exactly, I guess that's where I was going, because, I mean, you're basing the 60,000 on the grants we are currently overseeing and the proceeds we're going to get from it.
Correct.
Because, I mean, obviously it wouldn't be beneficial for us to take on this company if we're going to lose money, because then why would we want to, going forward in the future, be facilitating any grants if we're losing money? I mean, that's makes no sense. So that's where I was going with that.
Right on.
So, but the administrative costs that we're getting reimbursed to pay for this, was that funds though that was going into our budget as an income?
Good question.
Well, it doesn't go into your budget as income unless you actually expend it. So you don't just automatically get it. So we have to show expenses that are eligible for administering the actual grants in order to get the money. So it's not
Right.
just like a,
But we couldn't show our employees as an expense.
oh, yeah, we can. Yeah, and we will. Yeah, like my time absolutely will be, I calculate my time for these, and Phil calculates his for the Malone Main Street, and that we will get reimbursed for some of that. That's why, but based on what is budgeted, I feel comfortable with this number. This number is not the total amount that we can get reimbursed, if that makes sense.
So I think what you were asking, Jeremy, or Justice, is already in our budget. Like your projections, like we talked about yesterday, adding the projections to the budget. Is that what you were asking, Justice? Did we already put the figures in there?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yep.
And the answer to that is yes.
So let me ask a related question then. If we did not take Flatley Reed on, and we know the work ahead of us, anticipate the work ahead of us, and some of these, working with these grant programs, would we have, even anticipating the addition of staff, would we have the capacity in-house to be able to service those grants basically, if we did not do this contract with Flatley Reed? Or what would that take if we did do that without them? What would that take the staff effort away from?
Well, I think that goes back to Mike's point. We can certainly get the job done. We're anticipating hiring a community development person, and this could be their mostly full-time job for the next year.
Yeah,
Or we can have that person be looking at the next opportunities that we never get to. And so there's a trade-off there. If we didn't hire Flatley Reed, we'll make it work. But their level of experience,
we could do more efficient.
there's no like spin up time. They can just come in and do it, which even if we hire someone, it's going to take months to get there. So I felt that this might be a way for us to keep these things moving.
What I like about it in part is the work that we've done with them on Main Street, on the Main Street project and others, these other contracts, has informed us about whether they're the firm that could do a job for us in terms of broadened scope. And it's not like we said, gee, we should take on a firm, and then we're putting out a request for qualifications basically to try to evaluate who could do the best for us. So we have experience and a track record with these people. And I think that's helpful.
Yep. Justice, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, if your question's related to what Sherry was saying, then yes, I tried to include this both on income and expenditures in the budget, the 2022 budget.
Okay.
So I just have one more question. Are you still planning on hiring somebody to try and manage the grants, or is that off the table?
No, it's not off the table. And as you know, we've got interviews on Friday, and once we evaluate everyone and see what some of the skill sets are, then I think we need to convene and see what kind of see what makes sense for us going forward, whether someone we hire, what's the division of labor. It's a very good question, but yeah, the intention is still to hire because of all the, I mean, Russ and I have a list 100 miles long of opportunities that we could be pursuing that are not even distractions. Like we're not going into new territory. It's like right within our wheelhouse and mission, there's opportunities, endless opportunities that we just, at this point, we're trying to not get ahead of ourselves. So that's the trick. Not get ahead of ourselves and get the jobs done that we're already committed to.
Jeremy, on this as well, this kind of goes back to, it sounds like anyway, your toolbox conversation earlier, that this gives us a tool to use should we decide we need to use it, right? Signing a contract with this company doesn't mean that they're going to do $60,000 worth of work. It's an up to and if needed.
That's right. It's not a lump sum contract. There's hourly rates and they have.
Right. I just want to differentiate that, because sometimes when we're looking at things like this and the assumption is we're going to end up spending all 60,000 when really we still have the control to exercise here. It's more of a, we have this to use as we see fit, but we need to be able to have it to use just in case, because there is a ramp up period with any new employee, especially as you're bringing in that person that, maybe some opportunities slip by because we're not fully, up to speed yet.
Well, so that's a really good point. And it is still important for you guys as a board to know what the total possible is. So that's why we do want to make sure that there's a max not to exceed and that there is a end date, which I would propose to be the end of next year.
Good.
Okay. So But this would start effective immediately because in the,
Yeah, so we have a proposal from them, but it actually needs, it's not written like a contract, so between the proposal and this resolution, I feel there's enough information for the board to make a decision. But then this would authorize me and Matt to put together an actual contract that has all of the usual language that we would want. But the parameters, you're approving the parameters of it. And so as soon as we could get that agreed upon, then we would sign it. So I don't know, maybe effective November 1st or something. As soon as I can do it, the better.
so it was, but in the terms and conditions, it says not to exceed 5,000 a month. So is the 60,000, is that for if we're going to the end of 2022, is that for the 14 months?
Yeah, 14 months, $60,000. It means you could not spend $5,000 every month.
Okay.
And we just have to manage that.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? We had a first and a second. Go ahead, Maria, with the roll call.
Okay, this is for resolution 2021-32, authorizing contract with Flatley Reed. Sherry Boye,
Yes.
Michael Doran,
Yes.
James Ellis is absent, Stephen Erman,
Yes.
Madeline Fleury,
Yes,
Justice Martin,
Yes.
Archie McKee is absent. Resolution is adopted.
Okay. Very good. So we need to, well, we have a CDC meeting too. Can we go to executive session now?
Yes, yeah, and it would be for the purposes of financial history of a particular person or corporation, and for the sale or lease of real property.
Someone make a motion?
I'll make the motion. We go to executive session.
I'll second, Sherry.
Okay,
Mike, you want a second?
Sarah got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we're in executive session. All right. Out of executive session, entertain a motion to adjourn this, what is it now? EDC. FC
LBC,
EDC meeting.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, do you have a second?
Aye.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll call to order the Franklin County CDC meeting. Roll call is the same. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second,
Steve seconds.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then we will entertain a motion to approve, I don't know the resolution number, but the budget.
got to approve meeting minutes from March 23rd, 2021.
Thank you, Maria. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
A second,
I'll second.
Okay. Whoever that was.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll entertain a motion to approve the budget.
One more thing, Justice, I'm sorry, we have to approve financials from January through September 30th.
Right, thanks, Maria, sorry. Entertain a motion to approve the financials.
I will make the motion.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll
Steve,
second.
Mike.
And budget, resolution 2021-03.
Do we have a first and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion or questions? All right, roll call, Maria?
This is for resolution 2021-03, adopting the 2022 budget. Sherry Boye,
Yes,
Michael Doran,
Yes,
James Ellis is absent, Stephen Erman,
Yes,
Madeline Fleury,
Yes,
Justice Martin,
Yes,
Archie McKee is absent, resolution adopted.
okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn the CDC meeting.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I will second.
All right, very good. Are you all good? I mean, did you want to go back into an